Well, well, well. Good early afternoon, everybody. Well, we made it through here. It was rough last night. I have some really good footage on my Canon camera. What I'm going to do is probably tonight or maybe tomorrow evening after work, I'm going to start piecing all of that footage together and do a running vlog. Like, try not to make it too long. I mean, it doesn't really need to be long, but I mean, it's some really good footage of the storm. Basically, I went outside right when Milton was making landfall, and then every couple hours every hour and a half or so, I would go back out and check, and they were spot on though. 2 o'clock to 3:30, 4 o'clock was probably the absolute roughest time of the night. I haven't slept really but 45 minutes. I could not. I tried and tried, but just the sound was just, oh my gosh. This was probably the worst storm I've been through, worst hurricane storm. This tops Hurricane Matthew, which was the first one I'd ever been through. And this was way, way worse than that. The one thing that I don't agree with, though, is there's a lot of people out there, YouTubing and that, and some of them are going, "Oh, this was a dud. It was nothing." I, where were you? Where were you? you know, um, if you're in a Disney resort, uh, and especially one of the newer towers or something with the drapes drawn, yeah, you probably didn't hear squat. Um, but the thing is I don't like when people say stuff like that because it gives people a false sense of security. You know, they're gonna see that and go, "Oh yeah, we'll see any, doesn't matter how severe they say it is, we'll go to Disney, it'll be fine." There is a lot of damage at Disney, not major, and there also is a lot of photoshopped pictures going around. There's one in particular that's making its rounds showing Magic Kingdom completely underwater. That's all photoshopped, everybody. That is fake. That is not real. People looking for clickbait, that kind of stuff. The parks and resorts are fine. There is some damage, there's down tree limbs, there's a lot of debris everywhere, and a lot of the crews are gonna spend a lot of time cleaning up today. Power is currently getting restored as we speak. Thank goodness I never lost power at home last night. That was a miracle in and of itself. But these new developments, the entire power grid is underground. So that I feel like is a really nice addition to the way they're building these newer developments. You don't have the electrical poles anymore. You have everything underground. When I was filming some of the wind gusts outside, I think it was about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, right when the eye wall was going by us. The sky just lit up in a bright blue and green flash, and I thought, "Oh crap, there goes our power!" But it was somewhere else. Um, I thought for sure that the lights were going to go out any minute after that, but everything stayed on. So wherever that was, I hope everybody's okay. The Gulf Coast got wrecked pretty bad. Fort Myers took a beating. Tropicana Field. Hopefully everybody that was in there is okay. The roof just ripped right off. That that is something. But honestly, that stadium is it's no wonder that happened. If you look back, and people have filmed the roof leaking there for a lot of years, and the sun constantly beating down on that canvas roof that they have. It's only a matter of time, and just all it takes when you get wind speeds like that. I think they recorded 100, 405 there in St. Petersburg. You get the slightest tear, and just enough to get that wind current underneath there, and it's game on, man. It's just just tearing it wide open. You know, it kind of reminded me a little bit of being a Vikings fan, the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome in 2010 when Minnesota had that huge snowstorm and the snow piled up on the rooftop of the Metrodome, and it caused the roof to collapse, and then the snow ripped through the fabric on the dome and just fell onto the field. It had eerie, except that this roof didn't collapse downward because there's no air holding it up like the Metrodome. This is all steel structure at the top, so just the canvas top ripped off. But yeah, when the Metrodome came down, it was very eerily similar to that. You know, one was wind, the other one was snow. But hopefully everybody in there was okay. Uh, Hopefully everybody in this community around here, the Disney vloggers, the theme park vloggers, everybody that lives in Florida. I hope you all are okay. I know some have been reporting some damage to their homes. Yeah, I hope you can get that fixed quickly. If anybody needs help, just reach out. You know, I do our best that we can to help each other out. And the one thing I will say today, please, everybody, I know everybody's antsy. Everybody's been inside a little bit. Please stay home today. I know people are looking for stuff to do. I've been, working on a few things here, just trying to stay awake because I don't want to sleep during the day. It's going to throw my sleep schedule off because I have to go back to work tomorrow. Uh, I'm B shift. A shift's leaving. A shift has been there for the last 48 hours. And so then basically we're going to work for the equivalent of 40 hours and then we'll return to normal scheduling on Sunday. But everybody, please stay put today. Don't go out. Don't go around driving around looking for stuff. Even at the Disney resorts, there's some people live streaming in that, and they're walking around the resorts, which is fine, but you gotta be so careful. The problem is we just had you know wind gusts of over 80 miles an hour recorded here in this area, and you had roughly 12 to 18 inches of rain depending on what part you were in. That can weaken a lot of trees down. And what may look fine right now could just suddenly just fall over at a moment's notice. So you have to be very careful with post-storm cleanup and just people walking around. You got to constantly have your head on a swivel. I cannot stress that enough. And one of the other things I want to talk about too is chainsaw safety. A lot of people are going to go out there and start cutting trees. So in firefighting, you're pretty much from day one you're taught how to use a chainsaw. There is a course you have to take because chainsaws can screw you up with one slight move, the wrong move. And the biggest mistake people make is they'll see a down tree or something and they'll go, "Oh, let's cut this and get it out of the road, or let's free this from my home or whatever." And Florida man, Florida woman out there armed with their brand new steel chainsaw or whatever they Husqvarna, whatever they bought, is gonna, start cutting trees away. And there is a method to the madness. You just can't start cutting on these trees and these downed objects because when objects like that fall, they can fall in a way that load them under tension. And if you cut in the wrong place and you release that tension and that limb, branch, trunk, whatever it is, snaps up, that could either injure you seriously or it can kill you. Like the power that those trees have that are under tension is nothing to joke with. You have to basically survey the tree, look to see where it's laying, and then you start at one end, preferably the small end, and then you work your way in. And you always want to check the limb or the branch before you do any cutting. You can tell if it's under tension or not. Um, if it feels like it's super tight and is loaded with tension, then what you have to do is you have to work around it. You have to free some of the other stuff to help reduce the load of that one so it doesn't spring up and smack you straight in the face or the leg or wherever. I've seen it one time when we were clearing up from Hurricane Matthew. We had one of our firefighters was got into a hurry, and he's a good fireman, but we were trying to get stuff cleared away, and he got into a hurry, and thank God he just happened to he had a grace period of about 2 seconds because he cut it and it snapped and it was caught by the wood. The wood splintered, held there for about a second or two, and he jumped out of the way and then it snapped up and the whole tree just unloaded. It looked like one of those snare traps. So you have to be extremely, extremely careful with that stuff. The other thing is, um, if it looks like there might be any wires in that tree, or if you see anything running underneath the down tree, people leave it alone. Just leave it alone, because with people running generators and everything, you have all this stuff called backfeeding. And what that can do is when a person loses power to their home and their, let's say, their generator kicks on, sometimes if it's not done right, or even if it is done right, it can cause backfeeding, meaning it'll cause the power to leave the house and go back and re-energize the lines that are down. And it's not enough to make it start arcing and sparking like it would, but it's enough to create a humongous electrical charge and can zap the hell out of an unsuspecting person. So you have to be so careful with this stuff. And now with fiber optic lines and cable, and then obviously the wires for that carry the electricity, when they're all down and tangled up, sometimes it's hard to tell. Now, the main wires that carry electricity are usually like that heavy duty braided cable. It's not covered by anything. And then the cable wire and the other things usually have a rubber sheath around them, but you can never just assume. That was one of the things I hated the most is storm cleanup, because I'm sorry, I don't like high powered electricity at all. And some of the guys I work with would just willy nilly go in there and start cutting stuff. And no, you just never know. We eventually got something called a tack stick, where it looked like a metal bar, and it had two little prongs on the end, and you turn it on, and you point it at whatever you wanted to cut or move, and it would tell you whether or not there was an electrical charge there. So that did help. But again, like anything, you can't always rely on technology. You have to use your gut instinct and your smart. So please be careful about cutting trees away and doing anything with electrical wires. Let the linemen and all the professionals handle that stuff. Anybody walking through flooded waters, if you absolutely have to, get yourself a long broom handle or some kind of big stick. And what you have to do is you have to poke the ground in front of you as you're walking. And the reason you do that, if you watch firefighters, they do it all the time. In fact, on the news this morning, the Orlando Fire Rescue crews were doing that, the search and rescue teams. The reason you have to probe the ground in front of you is because when you have, hell, ankle deep, knee deep, waist deep water, that's dirty water, and you cannot see the bottom of that. And when you have flooding like that, there's obviously a lot of water pushing out. All it takes is a manhole cover to get pushed out by that water pressure and land somewhere else. And you go unsuspectingly, accidentally stepping into an open manhole. Folks, you don't need me to tell you that's probably going to be it. You're not coming out of that, because now under that manhole, who knows if there's current running or whatever. You actually step into one of those things, it's done. You're done. You're going to go down so fast that you just reaction wise, you're not going to have a chance to even catch yourself. Or if there's a suction down there, it'll pull you right in. So that's why if you have to walk through water, make sure you have a long pole, a long stick or something, and sound the ground out in front of you, and make sure that there's no holes in front of you. Because man, you do not want to be a statistic that way. And sadly, the majority of a lot of storm deaths come in the cleanup phase, because people just get very complacent. They get very tunnel vision. They want to get stuff done, and they just start doing things and not thinking about that this is probably outside of the wind and the rain. The cleanup's one of the more dangerous parts of the storm. So please, please, please be careful. And again, to everybody out there, there's a lot of people on these live streams asking, where can I go? I need something to do today. People, there's nothing open. There are some grocery stores that have reopened, and they're trying to get fuel back in and get the stations refueled, because I guess a quarter of Central Florida's gas stations are all out of gas, which is crazy because people were hoarding it the other day, as you could see from one of my other vlog I did showing the guy hoarding all of that gas in 5-gallon buckets, which by now is completely useless if he hasn't burned all of it by now. So things are getting restored, and there's just nothing going on today. Everything is closed. People, just take a day and relax. I understand there's people freaking out already. oh my gosh, we've only had 2 days of our vacation. We have to leave on Friday or Saturday. We need to do something. Everybody, there's nothing to do right now. Everything's going to reopen tomorrow at some point, but today is a cleanup and a recovery day and assessing everything. There's going to be nothing to do. I believe there's still going to be a curfew enacted tonight. I think it's 5 or 8 o'clock. I know Orange and Osceola, and I believe Lake counties are all going to still have that tonight. After tonight, it'll be over with. But just take some time and relax. Go. If you're at a Disney resort, there's a lot of activities going on. As I said the other day, go to the gift shop, get a fun game, get a puzzle. There's toys down there. There's alcoholic beverages if you want to partake in that. I mean, it's just there's just things to do, but just don't go rushing back outside trying to look for something because there is nothing open. I believe all the parks are going to open tomorrow as scheduled. I have heard that some may open at noon. Others are going to open at their regular time. So check the apps of the parks: Disney, Universal, SeaWorld, Legoland. They'll all put updates in pretty soon if they haven't already. So I hope you all that were here fared well through this. That nobody got injured or anything, and I know there's some property damage out there. I hope you all can get that recovered quickly. And one thing else I'm going to add to this is I know a lot of people like to give our governor shit because of various things that he does from time to time. But I will tell you this: that man is brilliant when it comes to emergencies like this. He is on point every time. He calls the states of emergencies well in advance so we can get the preparations. He had everything ready to go. Some of my coworkers who lost power last night, here it is 1:30 in the afternoon, and uh, my text threads are just lighting up. Everybody, power's back on, power's back on. They're already getting power restored. So Governor DeSantis is doing a phenomenal job with these storms, and this one particularly was a lot more difficult to deal with because it covered the whole entire middle of the state. I mean, this storm literally came in south of Venice Beach, or south of Sarasota. I'm sorry, right around, I think it's Siesta Key is what it's called, somewhere in that area, and then it ran right across the state. Now, it was a better scenario than what it was predicted to be. It was still really bad, but I think we have some guardian angels looking after everybody, for this storm because one, it was supposed to land in Tampa Bay, which it did not. Tampa was supposed to get utterly destroyed from this thing, and it did not. Tampa was on the north side, which is the outgoing side. So they didn't have that storm surge. The storm interacted earlier with that cold front, which caused a ton of vertical wind shear, which knocked the storm down. So it was pretty much it was a lower end category 3 at landfall, but the area where it crossed over is not as inhabited as Tampa Bay is. And then as it moved across the state, it was moving so fast it didn't have a chance to get downgraded much. But because of the wind shear and everything, it got downgraded to a category 1. But it was supposed to go through Orlando and it did not. It was well south of us. So we've got the winds from the eye wall, but we didn't get the direct impact of the eye going through us or over the top of us, if you will. So, and the area that this storm went through across the center of the state was a little bit less populated than basically if it was going to go down Interstate 4 like it was predicted to do. So, this storm was still no joke. It was probably one of the worst I've been through so far, but it was it was one of the better scenarios than what it was supposed to be. Now, on the flip side of that, it was bad because it spawned a shit ton of tornadoes. I think they said they issued 126 tornado warnings yesterday, which that broke the record from a couple years ago of 75, 76. So that unfortunately caused a lot of damage as well. But unfortunately, with these tropical storms and hurricanes, the atmosphere ahead of the storm in those outer bands is primed for tornado development, especially as it gets closer to land. But there was some good in this. It was still a powerhouse, but it wasn't the insane powerhouse they were predicting. And the fact that it came ashore far south of Tampa Bay and didn't inundate Tampa with that 15-foot storm surge was kind of a blessing. There was a storm surge, but it was nowhere near what they predicted. In fact, they said Hurricane Helene was far worse on the storm surge than Milton was. But it is weird though to see the storm go across the state toward the Atlantic. That rarely ever happens. That is very odd for that to, for to start in the Gulf by Mexico and go across the opposite way and go across the state. That's doesn't happen hardly at all, if ever. Usually they come from the Atlantic and go across the state, entering from the east side to the west side, or they'll start down in the Caribbean and then go north up the state, or they'll start in the Gulf and then go up towards Big Bend area. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know everything is well. House is good. We maintained power, which was a miracle. I was glad. But like I said, all the grids now are underground here, which is great. It's a lot less work for the linemen. And speaking of linemen, let's keep them also among all the other rescuers in our thoughts and prayers. I hope this finds you all well. Again, thanks for watching and everything. And as I get in the next few days, I'm gonna put together my hurricane vlog. I started it from landfall and then kind of just vlogged through the basically the end of the storm. It's a sight to see. It's a true look at what it's like to go through one of these hurricanes. And it was a category 1 hurricane. It wasn't a tropical storm. And it still was a hurricane this morning after it had gone back to the Atlantic, which just shows you how powerful this thing was. So I'm gonna plan on doing another vlog later on today. Disneyland hiked their prices again today, which has been a hot trending topic, and I think we need to talk about that. So in a couple hours, I plan on doing this again, and we'll get that uploaded. And then again, as the days go on, probably by Saturday, hopefully maybe Friday, tomorrow night or Saturday, I'll have my hurricane vlog done, and you can see what that was like. So it was no picnic, I'll tell you that. I didn't sleep at all. But again, thank you all very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Channel's growing. We're doing great. I enjoy this. It is a learning experience, very much so. And I'll probably end up doing a vlog at some point of what this is actually like. This is something else. It's so much trial and error. Just experimenting of what works, what doesn't, trying to get people to watch what you do, and my thing is I want people to try to get something out of this, not just, you know, show you something or what. Like there's so much of these people that buy all this crap and they're like, oh, here's my haul from I bought this, I bought this, I bought this. Great. Okay, you bought a bunch of stuff, spent a lot of money. My thing is let me entertain you, but hopefully at the end of my vlogs that you might have learned something that you didn't know about before. That's what I'm all about you know. So thanks for everything, everybody. I really appreciate it. Again, police, fire, EMS, military, hospital, everybody that's working right now. Thank you so much for all you do. Please stay safe. Get home to your loved ones soon. I'll be coming in to cover A shift tomorrow, so y'all can get some rest. Thank you all for busting your asses. And it's going to be my turn to bust my ass tomorrow for a few days. So take care, everybody. I'll see you soon. Have a good afternoon. Stay safe out there. God bless. See ya.